What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So glad to have you here. And before we go any further, let's make sure that you like, subscribe to my page, and if you really find this content valuable or this information, please share it with somebody that you think could, find some value out of this information. So today I want to talk about embracing our mental health, especially as Black women. And I don't know if y'all heard this song. I walk in the room, eyes are red, and I don't smoke banga. Did you check on me? Afrobeats artist, and dear Lord, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. LIBIANCA, and shout outs to her real fast, because not only is she a fellow African woman like myself, she's a Cameroonian woman and a fellow Bamenda girl. So shout outs to you. And the reason why I bring up this amazing new artist, LIBIANCA, and if you haven't heard her and you haven't heard her latest single, People, it's gonna make sense. So hang in there with me. So LIBIANCA again has this new song called People, and it's so amazing because I saw an interview with where she talks about how she came about to write the song, right? And she was speaking about she was in a depressive state because she had an ongoing battle with what seems to be, I think what she reported was cyclothymia. I don't quote me on that. What she reported is having sort of, ups and downs, ebbs and flows, which happens with a lot of mental health disorders, where we see that people can have some really low lows. And so she was experiencing one of those episodes, and then she found herself going into the studio to kind of have this release, and that was like her coping strategy. So shout out to you again for having, developing coping strategies and understanding and being so in tune with your body to know that when you're feeling that place. So that kind of leads me to my first point in knowing when, or learning to recognize the signs for ourselves when we may be struggling with our mental health. And I think that's the most important part in this journey of embracing your mental health, right? We have to understand and recognize for ourselves when we know that things are beginning to look a little, and I don't like to use the word normal, because what is normal really? But when our things started to deviate a little bit from where our sort of where we tend to operate from, right? Our space of, where things kind of feel really good for ourselves or feel like our normality, if you will. But when things are really changing from that, when things are beginning to deviate from
baseline. The word I'm looking for was baseline.
Right? And it's going to look a little differently from everybody. And I think if we have a better understanding or some level of awareness around that for ourselves, I think that's going to be incredibly helpful for us on our journeys as we begin to navigate and embrace our mental health. So number one, please get and build a better understanding or recognize those signs for yourself. So perhaps are you noticing over an extended amount of time that you are really sleepy, more sleepy than usual? And granted, it may not even be just a mental health disorder, because we know that physical health issues can run concurrently with our mental health issues. They go hand in hand in a lot of ways. So that could be speaking to vitamin deficiencies. That could be speaking to perhaps an adverse reaction to a medication of some sort. And that's why it's so important. And as mental health professionals, we always advise and always, recommend that our clients see their primary care physicians, because they can help rule out or screen out some of the medical concerns. So always, always, always have some level of working knowledge around some of the signs for yourself. And please don't compare yourself to others. Our journeys look differently. There may be some similarities, but again, it's really important to understand what that looks like for you in particular. All right. And so one of the other things that she mentioned in her song was that, she was around all these people that knew her, or at least, said that they knew her, and she had been showing all these signs. She was drinking all this alcohol, she was smoking, and that wasn't her typical MO. That wasn't her way of navigating things. And so what she said is like, did you check on me? Did you look for me? Right? And so sometimes we can miss the signs, because life can be so chaotic, life can be so busy, that we often miss the signs, not only of ourselves, but perhaps our loved ones who might be struggling with their mental health. And though it may seem like a heavy burden to take on, there are just small things that we can do, just like checking in with somebody, having a conversation, maybe perhaps bringing up that, hey, I noticed, you seem a little different these days. Like, what's going on? It's not necessarily your burden to take on in regards to, trying to be their therapist or trying to be their provider in that regards, but perhaps pointing them in the right direction to the resources that they need. So number 2, I would say, which kind of leads me to my point, seeking professional help. And how we can do that is, first, I think there's a level of normalization that we need around seeking professional help, especially in communities like the African community, because the LIBIANCA is African. I'm an African woman. I happen to be an African therapist and Haitian. Shout outs to that. So there's a level of normalization that we need to do in our community, and part of how we normalize and deconstruct some of the taboos around mental health and seeking professional help is about having real candid conversations about it. And so once people have education or some level of working knowledge around what it is and what it isn't, it can be really helpful. So for instance, I grew up thinking that being a social worker only meant taking people's kids away. Therefore, we were apprehensive to speaking to people. We were apprehensive to, let people into what was going on in our household. And so therefore we had this unsaid rule in our family that we don't talk about things that goes on in the house outside of the house, because we were afraid that there may be the social workers will come in and remove us from the household. And not that anything crazy was going on, but there was some yelling, there was some physical repercussions for actions, right? There was some discipline, there was some physical discipline, if I'm being quite transparent. And so that shaped my mind and kind of deciding what a social worker was, until I came to understand what social work actually was. It's actually so much more than that, and I happen to be a social worker now, so it's funny how the world works. But we need to have conversations. We need to educate people on what therapy is. Therapy isn't necessarily telling you what to do. Therapy isn't necessarily fixing you, because you are not broken, and I want you to remember that you are not broken. So having that working knowledge, I think, can be really helpful in dispelling some of the stigmas and the taboos around getting services. So mental health services are really important, especially if you're noticing some of these issues or concerns going on for quite some time, and like you feel like you aren't getting any better. So you really want to make sure that you speak to your primary care physician, or if you know somebody that is a therapist or can refer you to a therapist directly, that might be really helpful as well. The third thing I'm going to say is engaging in activities that bring us joy. So if we're thinking about embracing this mental health journey, there are going to be ups and downs in life that happens. One of the things that I think is really important for us to get back to is centering joy. And centering joy is going to mean different things for different people, depending on what stage of life you're in, right? For some people, it's about spending quality time with their families. Some people have traumatic histories around their family, so that's the last place they want to be. And that's completely fine, and that's completely normal. It's about finding what joy means to you. So does it mean going on vacation every so often, right? That brings a lot of joy and excitement for a lot of people. So incorporating that and making sure that that is a non-negotiable thing for you. Making that sort of your center in regards to making sure that, when you're feeling things that are drifting off a little bit, that you are doing those things that center joy in your life, and making that non-negotiable for anybody. Which kind of brings me to my next point, is developing these healthy coping skills. And coping skills can look differently for people, again, depending on their cultural background, depending on level of learning and understanding that they have in regards to what's going on. Some great skills that I think anybody can pretty much do is things like, journaling, or talking to a loved one. Whether you like to journal out or you want to talk to your iPad or any of your gadgets, just letting it out. I think that's a great idea. Exercising to some degree. I'm not telling you to go out there and go lift heavy weights like me, but doing things that are going to get your mind and sort of your body movement, because again, there is that connection between the mind and body. So moving your body can be really helpful in terms of relieving stress and anxiety. So making that a consistent habit, or building those healthy habits for yourself. And finally, prioritizing your overall health is really important as you're embracing your mental health journey. What do I mean by that? that means that you are making sure that you stay on top of these things. It means that you are taking a preventative approach rather than a reactionary approach. So that means you're doing things, or you have things in place that can support you in your health and wellness goals. And that's why it's so important to work with a professional, so that you can identify those and that you can build smart goals that can help you get to that that place, or wherever you envision that end goal to look like for yourself. So ladies, it's 2023. If you're here, you're watching this, you survived the pandemic. It's been a tumultuous past couple of years. So learning to embrace our mental health in 2023, it is a journey, and I don't want to just make it seem like it's going to be this easy thing. It's going to be intentional practices on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. It's going to be choices that you make day in and day out. And I want you to take away from this, if nothing else, that those daily choices, that I hope you choose you at the end of the day. I hope that you choose what's best for you. I hope you choose the things that bring you joy. I hope you choose the things that are aligned with your goals. I hope you choose the things that make you smile. And that's how we get to this place in terms of embracing our mental health and going on this journey that can be reward for in many ways, and it can be hard in many ways, but also remembering that we don't have to do this alone. So again, let me know in the comments below, and make sure you check out that LIBIANCA song. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on everywhere. And if you happen to see this girl, shout outs to you for pushing the needle forward in terms of talking about mental health in our community, in the African community, in the Cameroonian community, because we know it's not something that we often have conversations or the space to have conversations about. So thank you so much, and much success to you, my sister. And yeah, y'all know what to do. Share this with somebody that you think might need this information or find this information valuable, and make sure you like and subscribe as always.